What things women do that chase men away? Not practicing what they preach and doing that rules for thee but not for me thing. Yep. Saying I love you but acting as if I'm her lazy employee is soul crushing. Run away from this type of woman. Too late. Just recently signed up for dating apps and after looking at a bunch of bios, I'd have to say that obnoxiousness drives me away. Remarks about how sarcastic they are or how they expect to be entertained are things that automatically cause me to swipe left. Oh, it gets worse. Wait until you find out you are expected to plan unique dates, but there are 30 things/places you shouldn't take them. I hear you about the obnoxiousness though. It's like they think it's attractive for some reason. Wait until you find out you are expected to plan unique data, so yeah. You have to plan and entertain them. What a shit show. And then blaming men for being toxic masculine when doing so. Statler and Waldorf like. Unnecessary. Immature loyalty tests. Just above this post is an 8-1 where the GF called the BF frantic, claiming to be having a life-threatening panic attack and 911 is on the way. He rushed over and she bounced out of the house in hysterics and joy because he proved himself to be committed by rushing over to her. He's pissed. I'd dump her on the spot for that shit. My tolerance for manipulation was exhausted many years ago. Zero Fox T. Forget it. Get lost. Passive aggressive won't make a decision, but the man's decision is always wrong. One of the more interesting experiences when living with an ex. And we both worked from home at the time. Not particularly relevant, but it was pre-COVID. So pretty rare at the time. I'm going to the deli for lunch. Can I pick you up anything? Huh, I don't want anything from the deli. Okay. What about the taco shop? Huh, I'm not in the mood for tacos. What do you want for lunch? I'm pretty flexible, but I have to go now because I have a meeting at 1. I'm not seriously head to the deli and pick up a sandwich, which was my original plan. When I get back, why didn't you get me anything? Dude, you just brought back memories, lol. When they act like everything they know, including their own thoughts and opinions, are common knowledge and act like you are deficient for not also knowing. I often think about the fact that every major relationship I've had in my adult life, I feel like I've been being gaslighted by my partner into thinking I'm incompetent, despite the fact that I was living a full-on adult life before we got together, simply because I think about things differently than they do. I'm by no means saying this is an all-women thing. I just think I've made quite a few poor decisions with partners. Still, definitely a recurring pattern. I just feel like men and women have very different communication expectations and interpretations. I think men interpret women as being more bossy or know-it-all-ish than we actually are. A lot of times we are thinking we are helping and supporting. It's often how we talk to each other, but then men get offended, and we often have no idea why. All my female friends and relatives give advice, unsolicited, all the time. It's just a way of trying to relate. Women are wired to be collaborative like that. But I have noticed that men take it as a challenge to their own competence or as an attempt to assert dominance. Is that because that's what you'll do to each other? I'm not male and didn't grow up in boy culture, so but I can tell you from growing up in girl culture, most women just trying to be helpful. Not being direct. It's driving me nuts. If you get angry about something you think I should know / problem that isn't vocalized don't exist. If something bothers you, tell that. Communication is the key. That's why this exists. I feel like they say they want communication so often, but it's not guys that are poor at communicating. We are direct and blunt with all things, including our emotions. I'm going to lump a bunch together under doesn't understand how to communicate effectively, but blames the man for not communicating effectively. When a man confront with full-on facts, we get blamed for being too rude or whatever. Keeps other men as orbiters in her life. Bye bye. Expecting the man to do all of the legwork when dating. If you're genuinely interested in me, like I'm interested in you, would it hurt to show it a little? Text me first once and a while FFS. Maybe reach out and plan to spend some time with me instead of expecting me to make all of the plans and ideas. I just assume you're coming along for the ride and may not even be all that attracted to me in the first place, but just like the attention. Had this issue with a girl recently. She wouldn't text first, responded late, never initiated meetings, but then wondered why we are in a situationship and not a relationship. Told her it isn't working. We should stop meeting. Next day she calls me crying, promising to get better and to give it another chance. 2 weeks later nothing had changed, so I called it quits for good this time. Sounds so much like the girl I'm seeing. She almost never initiates and rarely agrees to hang, but keeps saying and acting like she's interested. Then she wonders why I'm not more forward. Lady, it's because I can't figure out if you're being genuine, leading me on, or I'm the side B. Wanting to hook up, but finding every excuse not to, then wondering why you lost interest and moved on. I just experienced this a few weeks ago. I asked her directly the first time we met in person, and she said she wasn't looking for a hookup. Then by the second time going over she asked why I hadn't hooked up with her. I was figuring she was going to cut my D off or something, so I bailed. Women are usually told from childhood that men don't really like you if he can't have sex with you. So some of us are toxic and use our attractiveness as a lure, even when we don't want the guy, when it really should be to focus on her and forget about attracting men who will just make her feel worse. She probably wasn't looking for a hookup, but thought that's what would keep you around if she could offer value to you in some way. Her presence as a human being had no value to what you wanted. Lol, I was expecting you to say women sometimes keep men around for what value or resources they could use the man for, not the other way around. What an unexpected reverse card. When they assume that all men like the same things and think alike. So much so that dating her is all about getting to know her idiosyncrasies. But she makes no effort to ask or get to know his personality and interests. Finally becoming disappointed when he doesn't conform to her pre-established image of him and her rigid idea of how a man should be. Suddenly believing in the validity gender roles and patriarchy when it's convenient, but waxing lyrical about dismantling these gender roles at most other times, often in a very condescending manner. This needs to be ranked a lot higher emo. It's destroying the dating scene, relationships and societies. Those stupid tests. If you feel like you need to test the relationship, you just ended it. That screams insecurity. Oh boy, if a man shows one-time insecurity. Women that use an outside voice inside. Inside of what? Having orbiters. One even bragged to me about having a D collection, yikes. Just to play devil's advocate, but some women get a lot of unsolicited D pics. Might as well have a little fun with it /view 200D. The first thing that jumped to my mind was a collection of latex cocks in the nightstand. I know that's not what it meant, but I still laughed. One thing this lass I'm seeing for 8 months has been doing lately is list all the things she wants us to do. Then we make plans to do them. Then she calls it off last minute, making my entire weekend wasted because I cleared the schedule for that purpose. Another is, it'll say good morning. It'll be lucky if I get a good morning back before 4 PM. We will make plans to go have dinner, only for her to message at the 11th hour saying she woke up after midday, went for late lunch with relo/friend, and is now full. When I tell her I'm disappointed, never angry, just disappointed, my phone will blow up with her apologizing and trying to make up. I feel like her inability to communicate or commit to anything is driving me away. She must have a lot of other incredible qualities. That sounds exhausting. If they try to make you jealous or test you. The princess delusion. Now that we are dating and we need this relationship to move forward, I would like the $15k ring, baby, $850k starter home, and stay at home mom gig. If you are not aligned with me as a princess, I mean, person, I don't think I'm ready for a relationship right now. Trying to sell red flags as positive qualities. Shame guys for having preferences too. A woman just chased me away today by being sarcastic instead of just communicating what she wanted. Unless you're a professional comedian, don't use sarcasm. Especially in text, it comes off mean-spirited. Yeah, sarcasm only works when both PPL click in that sense and are in a good place relationship wise. I see it as balancing on the edge. fun and satisfying if you nail it, but can be hurtful if overdone. Also, there's a time and a place. I think one should be able to turn sarcasm off while discussing serious matters. It's a good spice, but not a good meal. Most people use sarcasm passive-aggressively, usually to roast someone's intelligence with plausible deniability. I was just joking. Also, sarcasm over text is a dangerous game when you're making the person you're talking to the butt of it. When they treat their phone as an extension of them. Want emotional support, but not wanting to provide any. Cheat. Leading you on. Flirting when not really interested. Play mind games. Doing the Jekyll and Hyde routine whenever it comes time for them to be accountable for their choices and actions. Changing the rules of the discussion/argument so they will win is a red flag for me. Inflexibility. In the middle of dealing with the second girl in a row on Tinder that allegedly really wants to see me but hasn't found the time in over a week, despite every night being free. Example. Tonight she started her nighttime routine at 6 p.m. IDEC, what's worse, GBH? A girl lying up having a nighttime routine starting at 6 to avoid seeing you, or just having that routine, or any rigid timing you can't change for anything in the first place. Spontaneity is an attractive trait. Accusing us of being unfaithful when we haven't been. Not all women do this, but it's super frustrating when it happens. It's projection a lot of times. I had an ex that broke up with me in the sense of I think we should end things, and I was like, I think you are right, and she stared at me with a genuine look of surprise. Since we were living together, I had to hear a lot of stuff that I later learned were things she had probably done. Starting with, I can't believe anything you say to me. I loved this woman and it's the only relationship in my life where I know that I did my best, was honest and has nothing but good intentions. She taught me to value myself. My mate was in a relationship with a girl he met on Old. A year into the relationship, my friend was spending a significant amount on his new motorcycle. His girlfriend, now ex, expressed that she did not like that he was spending so much on his hobby and not enough on her. She was also pressuring him to move faster in the relationship so that she and him could live together after getting married. It was all too fast for my friend, so they broke it off. Weaponizing sex. In every state of the relationship, and in any kind, weaponizing sex should be a discussed topic more often. If/when the relationship is at a point where sex becomes a problem or sex fades and intimacy fades, nobody's talking about it. Every partner of any relationship or marriage remains silent and no never told me about it before. We cannot handle such situations. We discuss anything beforehand. We can get in fuss about being infertile and causing problems about different wishes for life, about communication. But we as society fail to speak out that fading physical intimacy becomes a serious problem in many marriages or long-term relationships. We fail to see sex as a connection and as important as communication, and that both depends on each other and helps each other. Severely underrated comment right here.